Krillin, if you want to use that. Doesn't matter what you call them. Goku and Krillin to the nostalgic training place as we are on the road to February 5th, which actually is going to be February 4th for many of you, the debut of the Universe Survival Arc, the next big Dragon Ball Super Saga. But before we get there, we have to prepare. And how do you prepare? You train. And that's what this episode was all about. This episode was a throwback to the Goku Krillin training episodes from classic Dragon Ball episodes 14 through 18. If you are a fan of those episodes, you're going to love this. And also, if you're a Gohan fan, you're going to love the few moments Gohan gets in this episode because they really made him look good. So, the first half of the episode, the story is that Goku's looking for a training partner, and they show the tractor again, the infamous tractor from the radish farming days, and it was cool to see the tractor again. Even though we had just seen it in the Future Trunks arc, that was when Zamasu had killed future Goku, or at least that timeline version of Goku. It's now back in the present, main story. And so basically, Chi-Chi actually recommends that Gohan train with Goku. I was curious about why Vegeta is not training with him, but if you've been reading the spoilers for the upcoming episodes, I'm not going to go into the spoilers, but you may actually get a clue as to what's going on with him. So they have this really awesome fight scene right here. Obviously, okay, Gohan first resists fighting, but he becomes Great Saiyan Man, and it's implied that when he becomes the Great Saiyan Man that he, gets the fight back in him, so, which I thought was pretty cool. So Gohan and Goku have an incredible freaking sparring session here, okay? The animation, the choreography was unbelievably badass. Goku swinging left, right, left kicks, Gohan's blocking. They both transform into their golden-haired forms. Goku does not go blue. And then they start rocking each other using Ki Blast. It's pretty much really great because it shows that Gohan can still somewhat keep up with Goku. And I've been saying for a little while now that even though Gohan is not what he used to be, he's a lot stronger than people think. I really think Gohan's stronger than people can even imagine. So they're going back and forth, but of course Chi-Chi screams because she doesn't want her precious radish farm, or her precious farm being, I guess, destroyed by her husband and her son. So I thought the scene was fantastic. I mean, you guys got to watch this scene if you haven't seen it yet, and if you have seen it, go back and watch it again. Really, really good stuff. So basically what happens is Goku then decides to go find Krillin. Basically, Goten suggested initially, and Goku's like, well, go back to, your roots or whatever. So they have this really cool scene where Krillin's a cop and he's stopping these bank robbers. And it's interesting. He actually gets shot in the arm, the bicep, and blood comes out. I was very surprised that Dragon Ball Super has been a little bit, conservative when it comes to showing blood. But this was kind of gory for what, obviously not as bad as Z, but from what I was expecting, it definitely was just a bullet. So Goku shows up, of course. The robbers are taken care of. Herms on Twitter pointed out that the thugs look just like the ones from Dragon Ball Z movie 13, which is the Wrath of the Dragon movie, Dragon Face Explosion. At the beginning of that movie, if you remember, Gohan as Great Saiyan Man's fighting off some robbers. So they did kind of somewhat resemble them. We don't know if they're the same ones. So they have this really cool scene where they go back to Krillin's house. And we haven't really seen much of Krillin's house. We saw a little bit of it when Android 18 gave him the haircut. And that's, in Resurrection F. But that's pretty much it. And they have this, conversation where Goku wants Krillin to train with him, but Krillin says he can't keep up. He's retired. He's just a cop now. But they have this, Goku's like, well, when Frieza showed up, he came out of retirement, which is true. And basically, Marin, Krillin's daughter, is asking if Krillin is weak because she wants Daddy to be pretty strong. And I really love this because if you guys notice a pattern in the last few weeks with Gohan, Videl, and Pan, now we have Krillin, 18, and Marin. Basically what it is that it's almost like these guys are fighting for their wives and daughters. It's like they want to look good, they want to look strong in front of their family, even though we know that they're nowhere close to Goku's level, or even the gods or any of these guys. They still want their family to think of them as being tough guys. I don't know if you guys watch wrestling, but Bill Goldberg, who just came back into WWE a few months ago for Survivor Series, he was often quoted as saying that he is coming back to wrestling because his son never watched him wrestle, and he wants to show out what he can do for his son. Same thing with Krillin and Gohan, is that now Marin and Pan never saw them fight, especially in their peak. Now is their chance. I really like this. I really, really like it. Krillin's like, fuck it, let's go train. Goku's like, you might want to change clothes. And of course, we see Krillin go back to his original gi, his Master Roshi, Muten Roshi, Kame Sennin martial arts school gi, which I thought was awesome. And of course, they give Roshi the porno magazines to get him to train. And for those of you guys out there who are wondering, what can Roshi really do for them? Yes, Goku is way stronger than Roshi, but Roshi does have years and years of experience, and that counts for something. You can still learn from this old man. So they have a really weird scene. You know, in fact, actually, Roshi pointed out, he's like, wait a minute, you've got the power of a god now. But no, they have this weird scene where Goku dresses up like a turtle, like Umigame, and basically, you know, Roshi's telling him, you have to fight like this, like a turtle, like learn how to be a turtle. You can't transform and you can't fly. But Goku doesn't care, he flies anyways. And they basically, this was weird. This was a weird scene. It was wacky, but it was funny. It was supposed to be comedic anyways. But Krillin, there's not much he can do, but he wants to do it for, you know, he wants to do it for them. Now, if you guys remember back in Dragon Ball, Roshi made Krillin and Goku, you know, deliver milk and wear the turtle shells in their backs. Well, in this episode, he's telling them that they have a new mission. They have to find something called Paradise Grass in this island that has like, I think, a forested island. In this island of illusions. And if you've been reading the spoilers for these upcoming episodes, you know what we're talking about here. So, Goku and Krillin race to get there. Again, this is all a throwback to classic Dragon Ball. If you like the old Dragon Ball training episodes, some people have said that's their favorite. You're gonna like this. They go into the forest, and it's like this kind of like mysterious forest where you get lost really easily, and they're not sure where to go. It's just Goku and Krillin by themselves. Then we have the surprise appearance of a character we have not seen since, I think, the Buu arc. If I'm wrong about this, let me know in the comments, but I'm fairly certain we haven't seen her since the Buu saga, and that is, of course, Uranai Baba, fortune teller Baba, if you will. She shows up. Of course, she is Kame Sennin's sister. A lot of folks forget that, but she is. And so they're there, and they're trying to find this grass, and then it gets dark, and they have a really cool scene. Like, the way that the colors are in this episode is really well. I forgot to mention there's a scene earlier in the episode where Goku and Krillin train at night, and it's a really nice dark blues, just really beautiful looking episode. I had no problems with the animation at all, especially in that fight earlier. But anyways, I digress. Back to this part of the story. You know, it looks pretty scary, and then this smoke all of a sudden appears. Like, there's this smoke everywhere, and they notice that, okay, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden we see, like, appearing there, we see, it's in the creepy forest, everybody, okay, it's, first of all, it's Cell, then Frieza, then Nappa, the Ginyu Force, Majin Buu, and then they show Tambourine from Dragon Ball. Now, I know some folks are probably wondering, why the hell would they have Tambourine there from Dragon Ball? You know, Demon King Piccolo's, I guess, servant, student, whatever. Well, he's there because if you remember, guys, the first guy to ever kill Krillin was Tambourine at the end of the 22nd Budokai. So Krillin might have, like, you know, the whole thing about the Forest of Illusions, we believe, is that it's going to be preying on your fears. And even Goku makes a point. He's like, hey, wait a minute. We've beat these guys before. And you have, but Krillin never beat Tambourine or Frieza, and both of those, and Buu, and all three of those guys killed Krillin at one point or another. I found it very interesting that Tambourine was there, and I love it because, you know, we haven't seen this guy in so many years, and that's the cliffhanger of the episode. They're pretty much surrounded the old enemies, and that's where the episode ends. Now, next episode preview, we've got to talk about this because, okay, in the next episode preview, they show, you know, next week they're fighting old villains, but that's not even the highlight. I'm going to cover this in detail probably tomorrow on the channel. My stream was kind of looking weird, but they actually gave us a preview of the upcoming Universe Survival arc, including a character that looked like a female Broly. I don't know what the hell I was looking at. I don't know if I couldn't even tell. It looked like, I'm confused. I was confused about this. I'm going to watch it again after this review is up, but it looked like this Universe Survival arc. They're giving little teasers about it, and I'm mind blown by this, guys, but we'll cover that more thoroughly on the channel as we go through. Anyways, thank you again for checking out the review of Dragon Ball Super Episode 75. Don't forget, Crunchyroll is the place to go. High definition, 1080p is the place to go to watch Dragon Ball Super. And not just that, but you can also watch other anime there. Tons and tons of hours of anime. Sign up crunchyroll.com/geekdom and you can, you know, get unlimited access to all this anime. So thank you guys again. I hope you have a great day and look forward to all the upcoming content for Dragon Ball. I don't even know. This Universe Survival thing's got me bugging out, dude. We'll see. I'm gonna watch it again, give some analysis later on. Talk to you later.
Thank you. You want to buy a fun?
What will end up being Luke Skywalker's fate in Star Wars Episode 8, and has the passing of Carrie Fisher changed that?
Excellent!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Paul's Hardware. This is Probing Paul, episode number 11. And yeah, I've been doing this for a while now. It's my monthly Q&A video where I answer questions that you guys ask. So all the questions from this month are being derived from last month's Probing Paul episode number 10. And look how far back through time we can look through this portal. The original one is getting so tiny now, it's almost difficult to even see. Let's get into it with question number 1, though, from Striker X1360. Hey, Paul, I've got an i5 4690K on Z97 with DDR3. I'm bottlenecking the hell out of my 1080. I was wondering if saving for an i7 7700K would be wise. He does video editing. I believe the increased performance of the i5 variant would benefit me, which is a good question, but I will say, look at the 4690K. Now, this is Devil's Canyon. This was Haswell Refresh. Still selling for $240 on Newegg. Not a very good deal when you compare it to, say, you know, a 6600K or a 7600K that's available now. But obviously it still has some chops. This isn't too outdated of a processor. Now, in the rest of your posts, because there was a little bit of a thread going on below, we also found out that he's running 3440 by 1440, so ultra wide with the high resolution. And that also he's not overclocking, although he does have a liquid cooling system in place. Now, my suggestion here would definitely be to overclock. This is only going to turbo boost to 3.9 gigahertz, and you should at least be able to get 4.4 to 4.5, especially if you're using liquid cooling, and that should help your performance. However, he also stated that the games he was having difficulty with was CSGO and Minecraft, which really aren't that difficult to run. They can be a little bit more CPU dependent than GPU dependent, but my suggestion would be maybe to look at other possible contributing factors, because this CPU should be able to help. If you overclock it in particular, it should be able to keep up with that 1080, and I would wait definitely to like really upgrade at least until Zen and Ryzen CPUs come out next month or in the next month or two. There should be some price updates, hopefully, that happen after that drop, so that should at least give you a bit better selection if you are considering upgrading. But yeah, overclock and maybe check out your software situation, see if you have processes running in the background, look at your memory, see if that's somehow getting chewed up somehow and that's contributing to the lower frame rates. Because if you're running at a higher resolution like 3440 by 1440, at least in games that are more GPU dependent, the CPU should not be the bottleneck. If you're running at really low resolutions and the GPU is churning out a bunch of frames, that's when the CPU can start to get bogged down a little bit. So thank you for the question, and let's jump to question number 2, which is right here. Murky Conduct, which is, I like your name, says, hey Paul, I have a laptop that has Windows 10 on it. Is it possible to transfer it to a PC build? I was originally just going to say no, it's not. Joel Reynolds also here replied and said yes, if it's an OEM, and he says he had to contact Microsoft and really push them because he got a replacement key with a Pro key, and he was able to talk them into it. But let me just state this for the record. Contacting Microsoft can be very hit or miss, in particular if you're using an OEM key, and laptops have OEM keys. That's generally speaking how they work. But let me give a bit more of an explanation of kind of how Windows did things with Windows 10, is that if you buy Windows 10 directly from Microsoft and you get a key and then you punch it into your newly installed computer, the key is actually used, it's burnt or whatever, and then you get a digital entitlement that ties itself to your hardware. From what I understand, the motherboard, and actually it can do a specific writing into the UEFI there. The cool thing about this is if you activate Windows on like an old system, or like a system with the motherboard, and then take that motherboard and put it like, you know, reconfigure the system or something and do a fresh install of Windows on it, Windows should just activate. The Windows database should recognize the digital entitlement tied to that hardware and just activate the software. That's happened to me 2 or 3 times so far. with your particular situation, you have a laptop, so that's got an OEM key. And chances are you're not going to be able to change that or move that around at all. Windows is much more restricted when it comes to giving people service. When it comes to OEM keys, they say talk to the manufacturer of your device instead. Ever since Windows did the anniversary update, I don't know when that was, a few months back, you can actually take your Microsoft account with your Windows 10 digital license, and you can tie your Windows 10 digital license to the Microsoft account. This would actually allow you to have, for example, like multiple computers with a unique login for your Microsoft account, so you can move between different machines. There are some restrictions in place. I don't want to dive too much into the details right here, but I will say I prefer not having the Microsoft account. I prefer just a unique, user login just to the machine. But if you really have a Windows license, especially if you bought it retail and you need the ability to switch between multiple machines, consider tying it to your Microsoft account, and that might make activation, especially if you do a hardware update, a little bit easier. But to give a too long didn't read answer, no, you probably cannot take your OEM key from a laptop and move it to a desktop unless you're in a very interesting situation, much like Joel was here, and you managed to talk Microsoft into it. But that's seriously up to them, and I rarely ever hear that actually happen. Here's a question from Zuga. Why did you leave Newegg? What made you have your own channel? This is a question I've actually sort of addressed before in Probing Paul, but I bring it back up very specifically because, alright, I feel kind of bad about this just a little bit, but I wanted to do it, so I'm just going to do it anyway, even though I feel kind of bad. Alright, so I left Newegg for a variety of reasons. One of the big reasons was that I tried to work with management to sort of coordinate things, because when you're doing a creative job like creating videos, even if you're just talking about PC hardware, that kind of thing, you need to keep a little bit of a fire going, and if you feel like your voice isn't being heard when you're saying, I think we should do things this way or whatever, it just tends to sort of suck that out of you. So that over time, plus sort of what from my perspective was my voice not being heard by the people who are actually running things and making decisions, led me to decide, you know what, I think I'm just going to kind of go it on my own. And when I left Newegg, I was at about like 80 to 85,000 subscribers, and the stupid thing is that the people who I had disagreements with, they aren't even there anymore. Like, so they went in and did whatever they did, and now they're not there anymore. But I did want to point this out. First off, Newegg has a new crew that's working there. I actually met them at CES, and they were very nice people. So if you guys do want to check their stuff out, I think they have improved it in the past few months. Things seem to be turning around. They seem to be more hardware focused and that kind of thing. But again, my bit of schadenfreude here, to use a word that my old Newegg coworker Rachel really liked to use, is that I have finally passed them in subscribers. I'm at 456 now, and I didn't really tweet about that or anything, but it took 2 years and 4 months or so. This is my announcement video that I had separated from Newegg, which was September 21st, 2014, so two years and 3 or 4 months, and I've come so far. So I'm happy with the decision, and again, I bear no ill will towards Newegg. Of course, there were some people who aren't there anymore who I wasn't super happy with, but we'll leave it at that, and hopefully that gives you guys a bit more of an explanation of what went down there. Anyway, next question is from McLaren's Car of the Week Reviews, right here. I'm currently using a Hauppauge HD PVR 60. That's as close as I can get to pronouncing this. Hauppauge. It is a Native American word, Native American Indian to be specific. HD PVR 60, I would like to step up to something with a higher bitrate. I have a built PC to handle it, aside from Elgato and Evermedia options with 60K bit rates, which would include like the Elgato HD 60. What would you recommend for video capture, assuming no limit in file size? I almost kind of felt bad bringing this question up and answering it, because I don't really have a very good answer to it, to be perfectly honest. I have a bit of research I've done. I'll point you towards a couple brands. The first brand is Magewell, and they're more sort of towards the prosumer, getting into the much more expensive professional market, so the capture cards tend to cost a lot. But although I have not worked with them directly, I have heard very positive things about them recently, although their website they need to change their website a little bit, because they obviously have a code issue throwing there at the top. Anyway, but yeah, Magewell parts can be expensive, starting around $300, going up to the $500 to $1,000 range. But again, I've heard good things about them. Beyond that, I would check out Blackmagic. Again, people have hit and miss stuff with them. My most recent capture card purchase is this Blackmagic Decklink Mini Recorder 4K internal PCIe card. and I did some testing, initial stuff with it about a month and a half ago, and I haven't touched it since, purely for lack of time. So again, I wish I had a better answer for you for that, but yeah, at least Black Magic and Mage, well, I would say check those out. Next is Amitoj Singh. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Dual 16x9 or single 21x9 with the 16x9 on top. Definitely single 21x9 with the 16x9 on top. If you're gonna game, you're probably gonna game on one screen. Having a 21x9 screen, I think, is a very ideal gaming situation. And yeah, I mean, you're basically giving yourself more screen real estate by 21x9 and a better gaming experience. And you can put that 16x9 up on top, or you can flip it vertical and put it off to the side, which is a great way to look at web pages and that kind of thing as well. Jonathan Heiner asks a very good question. Well, he actually corrected me first from last month's video. Gigabyte, not gigabit, which was definitely my mistake when you're talking about bits versus bytes and how they are calculated and how they are actually shown when you're advertised products. There is confusion there. But anyway, more to his point, thanks for the SSD discussion. I'm still weighing options for a future upgrade, and I'm slowly becoming less interested in M.2 NVMe as the prices are simply too high per gigabyte. I feel most consumers don't need the added performance. My thoughts? I would completely agree with you, Jonathan, largely because those NVMe M.2 drives are still so freaking expensive. It's cool to look at like a little chewing gum stick, you know, roughly sized SSD and think like, wow, that by itself has the same performance as like a 2 or 3 or 4 or even like 6 drive RAID array with standard SSD, like standard SATA SSDs. Some impressive performance, but if you're not going to use it, it's definitely not worth it. You really need to have something that you do with that SSD to make it like worth the money that you invest in it. So my excuse is video editing, because that's something where you need a ton of storage readily available that it can quickly pull off of your permanent storage and drop into the memory or whatever. Now there are some SSDs that are NVMe and M.2 that are coming down in price a bit. The SSD 600P series from Intel is definitely one of those. However, this one has pretty significantly reduced performance when you compare it to the much faster ones. Like the sequential writes here are 560 megabytes per second. Reads are pretty fast, 1775, but again, not quite up there with like the Samsung 960s and that kind of thing. However, I mean, you can still get this, and it will be faster than a typical SATA drive. But yeah, for your money, getting a few SATA drives and rating them together could be an option, although then you deal with the possibility of drive failure. But yeah, for now, we gotta kind of keep watching those NVMe drives. They're still kind of a premium product, and they cost a lot of money, but hopefully the pricing will come down soon. Federico Trenton, what do you think about used hardware?